Tanya Detoy or Pretorius, whoever's available, if you guys can just assist me with the chats and so forth, that will also help for the presentation. Right, I'm going to start now. So, welcome grade 12s. I know this has been a whirlwind of a year so far for you guys, and I know that educators are putting pressure on you from all aspects and your parents as well. And I want to take this opportunity to welcome you, and I want you to be at ease, and I want you to clear your thoughts, and I want you to listen, because at the end of this session, you should be able to know that all the content that we are going through is not only grade 12 content, it is 10 and 11 content as well. So it requires you as an individual to recap a little bit on the work that you have been taught in the past 2 years, or maybe a year. Some of you took CAT in grade 11, whatever the case may be. But you must know, just as we emphasize this in the practical, you must know that I'm going to emphasize it in the theory part as well, that the content that you are being assessed on, you will see that when we do the question paper discussion, is based on grade 10, 11, and 12 work. And that is also one of the gaps that we are trying to close. Now, thank you for Mr. Ali for bringing it up, and I'll show you just now. These study guides, RELA books, terminology books that we have shared with your educators has got these concepts in. So I know that you are getting resources from all over, and then you get anxious and so forth. But I must advise you that if you use the things that we provide to you, you should achieve good marks. Right. Now, I started sharing this first official slide with you guys, and I just want to show you a little bit how many days are left. So in total, there's 36 teaching days left, which is actually very, very scary to know that there's so many days left for you as a grade 12. So in these 36 days, you should be starting to revise, recap, and your summary should be done by now. Right. So let us look quickly at paper 2, because when we as educators go and mark, we sometimes see that children lack in detail. Now, the papers that we are going to use today is the June examination papers. So you will see just now when we share it with you. So the resources that we use is the June paper and the prelim paper, and both of them are 150 marks each. Okay. Now, the resources that I was referring to and Mr. Ali was emphasizing on is RELA books, study guides, the examination guideline, the CAT concept booklet, and then also past papers that you can obtain via the DBE or the GDE websites. Now, I have got these books, and I just want to quickly show you so that you can see what I am referring to. So the RELA books, you'll see it's 10 and 11, and it's nice activities that we shared with your educators. So I just want to quickly go in one of the activities to show you as a student, a grade 12 student that need to revise. So for example, there it says grade 10, and the concepts is the everyday life and so forth. Here they give you questions and the mark allocation. So there's a total. And what I want to advise you, when you do the questions, stick to the time limit. So if it's 3 marks, stick to 3 minutes. Okay. Try not to go over that time allocation. Then we in the slide also we spoke about the terminology. The CAT book. I always refer to it in my district to the CAT book. So this is the CAT book that was sent in the beginning of the year to the educators, where new concepts and current concepts, according to the ATP and the CAPS, have been shared with your educators, you will see some of the new things have been highlighted that you should go through, study it. And to make it easy for you as a student, what I like about this CAT terminology book, and I want to show you. So if we take, for example, the solid state drive, the SSD card, right? Now, what I like about this is if it says the definition. So a solid state drive, it gives you the definition here, and it shows you a picture of it there. So there you can have a nice description. So if this was the answer, if they ask you what is a solid state drive, this can be a nice 2 to 3 mark answer that you can study. Now we talk about the purpose and the function of it. Okay, what it does, why is it needed? And there they give you a nice example or introduction or explanation of it, of what it does and what it's needed for. Then there's another category, simple explanation of how it works. So in scenario based, you need to now explain. We'll get to that when we get to question 9 and 10. What is it used for? Why is it important? If an SSD card breaks, how do we handle it, and so forth. Then they talk about the advantages or the benefits, as some of you may refer to it, the disadvantages, the limitations, and how it is practically applied. So ladies and gents, I'm just going to scroll through here while I'm talking, and I want you to look at it. I want to urge you, if your educators has not shared this with you as a student, please, you need to ask and ask and ask to an extent where they give it to you, because this can help you when you have to study for the June, for prelim, and for final exams. So I really hope, and I want to emphasize that you please make sure your educators gives it to you. Right. Then the next thing that we are referring to in the PowerPoint that we spoke about was the study guides. Now, this is the theory study guide that Mr. Ali was also referring to, and that I'm going to go through with you now, is the theory study guide. So you will see it's got all the concepts based on the ATP that has been provided to the educators that can be used. And you can also use this to study from. Now, I'm not going to go too much into detail regarding this, ladies and gents. I just want to look through it as I'm scrolling through, that you can see, for example, types of users, personal, SOHO, mobile, power, enterprise, and there's the specs that is required for the different types of computer users. There we get devices, the specs of them, what is needed, like we stipulated earlier on. And we talk about capacity. So this is also a very nice guide to have when studying for paper 2. So please, I hope you are writing these names of the booklets down, that you can ask your teachers, should you not have received it, that they provided to you. But I believe in your educators, and I know they have sent it to you. So it's the CAT study guide, theory study guide. So it's got the Cybono label at the bottom right-hand corner. Okay. Then the other study guide that we also refer to is the practical study guide. Now, your educators can have the PDF or the Word document, because with the Word, the activities are embedded in there. And it's got nice activities, and it explains everything very nicely, and it gives you screenshots and so forth. So please, ladies and gents, use this as far as possible, so that you can recap. For some of you, you might have forgotten about a few concepts that was taught in grade 10 and 11. It's very handy to have. Then the last thing that I want to also emphasize on is the examination guideline. Okay, so the examination guideline, this is how it looks This is how the front cover looks like. It says Examination Guideline, Grade 12, 2021. So it's 17 pages long. Now, the first few pages just basically consists of practical. So Word, Excel, Access, HTML, and so forth. Then we get to paper 2. Now, immediately in paper 2, and I'm going to go back to my slide here. Immediately in paper 2, you will see that it says, so there's a few examples, there's a few examples of the terminology. I showed you by show of hand of it. But what I wanted to say was, with the CAT terminology book or the study guide that I was referring to, you need to see one of the things that, and I know there's not a lot of time, but I'm just going to touch on it, that we as educators, when we did the final interview marking, we came to realize that students don't understand the questions. So I'm just going to show you, this is on page 8 of the study guide, of the exam guideline, that I want you guys to look through when you study, so that if you don't understand the action verbs, go through it and see and make sure you understand what they want you to do in a question. So for example, if they say analyze something, then you look at the question, and if they, what does analyze mean? Analyze means to find the main ideas, how they are related to something that's important. So you have to process certain features from a screenshot or a scenario. So something might have been broken. You need to either fix it or replace it. And now you need to analyze. Should I buy it or should I, fix it? Or arrange, apologies there, categorize, classify. These are action verbs that are used in a exam paper. Now, like I said, I'm not going to go too much into detail, but I want you to please ask your educators to provide this, whether it's soft copy or hard copy, the action verbs. So it's in, and I'm going to quickly show you again, it's in the examination guidelines 2021. And I went to page 8, and it starts on page 8 and it carries over onto page 9. Okay, now I'm not going to go too much into detail about section A and section B, as Grant and Maggie will do that, but I just wanted to show you regarding the action verbs that is in the examination guideline that you guys can use and you can recap on. Okay, right, now let's go back to our slide. You'll see that we are going to jump from one thing to another. Yeah, now I want to just show you the outline of a question paper, because in that 10 minutes reading time, you guys need to really sit and read the question paper and plan, because nowhere does it stipulate in the instructions that you have to start with a question 1 and end with a question 10. If you read through the questions and you are comfortable with answering question 5, 6, 7 first, and then 1, 2, 3, and then 8, 9, 10, you are allowed to. But I want to show you the outline of the question paper. So section A consists of 25 marks. Section B consists of 75, and section C consists of 50 marks, which then brings us to the total of 150 marks. So ladies and gents, in that 10 minutes reading time, read to see that, not read to see the questions and how it works and what has been asked, but also read it to plan and make sure that you know what is required from you, where are you comfortable with answering the questions first, and so forth. Okay. I am now done with the introductions. I will then give over to Mr. Grant. Grant, you are, well, it's your turn now to do section A. Thank you. Are you ready, Grant?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Kim.
Okay.
Afternoon, everybody. I'm going to share my screen now. Just give me a thumbs up once you see something on the screen. Can you see the section A, 1, 2, 3? Am I audible? Hello.
Hi, Grant. Yes, we can
Yes,
see
Grant, you
you.
are.
Okay. Can
We
I
see you, we hear you.
All right. Do you see my mouse? Because I thought for a minute there I've been disconnected again.
Yeah.
Can't see your mouse.
Yeah, we can't see your mouse. We can just see your oh, wait, there I can see it moving.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, because I'm going to switch between two things as we go along, but let's go. So section A, 25 marks, shouldn't be taking very long to do. Let's move on to the next slide. So a lot of people don't think there's strategy in answering section A, but there actually is. And I just want to highlight a couple of points to everybody today. So interpretation comes into section A. You actually need to read and understand the question. Kim mentioned the action verbs and so on in the exam guideline. It does come into section A. A lot of people don't think it comes in there. You need to read very carefully, okay? Especially with the multiple choice. I always used to nickname it with my learners multiple guess because it seemed as though they just guessed whatever answer they wanted to and gave it as a response. Another thing with section A, you need to know your content because section A is actually a very general question and it can ask anything based on the content from grade 10 all the way up until grade 12. Okay. Another thing, as part of the strategy to section A, give single answers. A lot of learners, especially for multiple choice, will write A stroke C. We only mark the first one. So if the answer was C and you wrote A first, sorry, you're going to lose out the marks. So to the educators as well, if your learners are giving you options to mark in multiple choice or rewriting the entire sentence that was given in multiple choice, please start marking it wrong. The first option given is what we mark. Okay. Another one, learners, time yourself in section A. It's 25 marks. The paper's out of a total of 150 marks. You have a total time of 180 minutes. So it works out to about 30 minutes in total that you should spend on section A, which is question 1, question 2, and question 3. And then this one, I'm just throwing in there and I'm highlighting it in red. Use your mark allocation as an overall guide to judge your performance. Hello, Iana, please put your camera off. Thank you. Okay, and I'm going to park this last bullet and we're going to get back to it right at the end before we move on to section B. A lot of people, I've done a lot of analysis of this and I'll come back to this one. All right, so let's move on to question 1. What is question 1? Anybody open your mic or in the chat, please tell me what is question 1. Right, any school. What is question 1? Multiple choice, right. Absolutely correct. It's multiple choice. Now, it seems as though schools don't know what question 1 is all about. But let's look into how do we actually answer question 1, right? And this is what we need to do. And I've copied this out of the November 2022 paper. It gives us an instruction. And it says there are various options given, or various options are given as possible answers to the following questions. Choose the answer and write only the letter A, or B, or C, or D, because some learners misinterpret this instruction itself, next to the question numbers 1.1 to 1.10 in your answer book. And then it gives you a very nice example of how you should answer it. However, in the responses, I don't know if all the other facilitators and teacher moderators that might be here, when you check the responses of the SBA, especially the theory test, learners do not follow this instruction. I am not sure why, learners. Why are you giving yourself a lot of additional work and wasting time in writing 1.1 C or D? But anyway, let's move on a little bit. Something that you need to take note of in multiple choice. There's something called a distractor. Okay. Anybody think you have an idea of what the distractor might be? In the chat, distractor. Or you can raise your hand and we'll give you a chance to speak. Thumbs up, thumbs down, distractor. Anybody? A wrong answer. That's basically what the distractor is. Okay. It's a word or sentence that is your answer. That's in the answer to confuse you. Absolutely correct. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Similar answers. And I don't want to delve too much into this one, but the similar answers, when you read through a multiple choice question, it will either seem like the answers are correct or they will sound the same. And then it's a similar answer, but it's not the correct answer. And then I'm going to move on to what we would call the final answer. Now we're going to do the activity a little bit differently. Okay, so normally, what we would normally ask you to do is to answer the question, and then we give the answers, and after we've given the answers, you mark it and we discuss it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do it a little bit differently. Take out your November 2022 paper, go to section A, go to question 1, and we're only going to look at the first 5 questions. Okay? And what I want you to do with the first 5 questions, and we can even do it together, I want us to look for where would we find similar answers, what would the answer be, and what is the distractor in the actual question. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap over to my PDF, and let's look at question 1.1 and 1.2. Okay, let me get my highlighting tool here. Let me change it a bit. I want to use the circle or the underline, and we're going to use different colors. Okay, so for 1.1, let's look at what would the answer be first of all, and I'm going to highlight that in green or put a tick next to it in green. Let's do that. In the chat, or anybody that wants to give the answer, let's look at question 1.1. It says the process during which your ISP slows down your internet connection is known as. What would the answer be? C. Absolutely correct. That's going to be throttling. So C is my answer. Well done. In these answers that have been given, what would the distractor be? What kind of, if you think of the concepts of what an ISP does and all the options that were given, data cap, shaping, throttling, bandwidth, which one there would be the distractor? Somebody saying A, somebody saying B. Any other answers? D, bandwidth. Okay. Someone says A, data cap. Now let's look at B and C. What does shaping do? And this is referring right back to that the concept booklet that Kim highlighted in the beginning that's got the cat book. What is shaping and what is throttling? If we look at shaping, shaping prioritizes certain activities and applications over the internet. So if my understanding of shaping is, if I'm working at a private institution and I need my emails to be the quickest thing that's working, and I know that our employees are going to try and browse the internet a little bit too much, I would want a shaped connection because I want my emails to go through faster and everything else to be slower. And somebody that's using the internet would have the idea that something's being throttled because the internet seems slower than the email. So can you see the idea of similar questions or similar answers? So shaping and throttling, if you look at what it is, those could be highlighted as similar answers. Data cap would be the outlier. And then D, I see somebody said D, D because the term associated with the internet connection. Absolutely correct. D or A could actually be the distractor because it does have to do with the connection, but does it have anything to do necessarily with your service provider slowing you down? Okay. Am I making sense? When I look at just question 1.1, a multiple choice question, listen to all the analysis that just went into multiple choice. Okay. Let's move on to 1.2. So in 1.2, what would be the distractor? Before we get to the answer. Anybody in the chat? I see today everybody's scared to actually speak. Okay, somebody says A. Anybody else? Any other takers? D. D.
C.
Okay, somebody says C, error checking. Okay, I see a hand from somebody. Look at somebody just attend to the hand, please. Somebody says D. Okay, now here's 1.2 is has a lot to do with interpretation because I see everybody saying A, B, C, and D. Let's analyze this one again quickly. If we read the question, it says, which one of the following processes would you use to protect your data? Is a firewall a process? Somebody in the chat, is a firewall a process? Not at all. So D is complete. For me, D would be a complete outlier. So that's the distractor in the question. If I look at error checking, would that help me protect my data necessarily? For C, would error checking would that protect my data? Yes, a firewall is definitely network security, so it's got nothing to do with protecting your data necessarily. Error checking won't protect my data. And then what is compression? What do we normally associate with compression? Zipping a file, if I'm just to speed this up a bit, correct? So if I went through that process of looking at what each individual answer actually allows me to do by the process of elimination now, I've actually gotten to the answer, which the answer would then be A, because it's archiving. Would compressing my data help me protect my data? I don't think so. So for 1.2, my answer would be A. Do you guys follow this process of how we actually going through multiple choice to get to the answers? Let's look at 1.3 real quick. Plug and play technology is used to A, play games on a gaming console, access the content on a CD, install an operating system, or D, detect and configure new devices. What would the answer be? Let's have a look in the chat again.
C.
Okay, why would you say C? Let's have a little bit of a talk.
Because it's about installing an operating system. After you buy a new computer, you would necessarily need to connect it to the internet.
Okay, I hear where you're coming from, but why would I need plug and play technology to install an operating system? If we think of it lately, if you buy a laptop or you buy a computer, unless you're buying a custom built computer, majority of computers already come pre-installed with an operating system. So would I really need plug and play technology to install an operating system?
No, I understand that you wouldn't.
Okay, you're with me on that one. So that one could actually be, because there is something in plug and play where and I'm sure you've read this, and here's where probably the misunderstanding comes in. We plug something into a computer, it's connected to the internet, and then it starts installing either software or it installs a driver. Okay, so that one was definitely the distractor and the complete outlier there, because we have some sort of understanding of what plug and play means, and then we associate it with a word that we've seen in the description. But I see most of the people in the chat are giving the correct answer, and the answer is D. It's to detect and configure new devices. That is what plug and play technology does. Simple, straightforward. Okay.
Grant, sorry.
Yes.
Mr. Koza's hand is up. I don't know if he's got a question or if he
Okay,
wants
let him
to.
go. No problem.
Mr.
Thank you,
Koza,
Tina.
you can quickly ask if you would like to. Okay, now I see there the hand disappears. Okay, thank you, Grant.
No problem. So that's up to 1.3. Okay. So I'm sure you guys are getting the process and the feeling of what we need to do. So I'd like I'll still leave it on the screen. I'll give you another 2 minutes. 1.4, 1.5, identify at least one incorrect answer. And I'll give you 2 minutes before we take, I'll check the responses in the chat. If you're going to respond in the chat, type 1.4 and then what you think is the incorrect answer, or one of the incorrect answers for 1.4, and similarly for 1.5. Let's do that real quick, just 2 minutes. Remember, you can also put your mic on and give the answer if you also want to, not just in the chat. Okay, 1.4B, definitely incorrect. 1.4C, why would you say C? Another incorrect answer from Nontokozo. Okay, JW Saints, can you put your mic on? Why do you think I've seen now 2 schools giving me 1.4C? Why? What makes you think that 1.4C is incorrect? Let's have a quick discussion on that. Go for it. Missouri? Why would you think 1.4C is incorrect? Okay, so ESOS, I chose C because phishing is when you deceive someone in order to get personal information out of them. Right. Now, if you read the question for 1.4, it says a fraudulent process which tries to obtain sensitive information is called. It is phishing. Exactly what your answer is. So C is the correct answer. And remember, my instruction was give me an incorrect answer. Okay, 1.5. I see some people are answering 1.5. They're saying the answer is A. Why wouldn't it be B? Can anybody give me a reason why 1.5B would be incorrect? C is correct. A takes to a fake website. Okay. I think we've moved on to 1.5. So Randfontein High School, well done on 1.4. Okay. Kutlwano from Philadelphia. 1.5 A and C would be incorrect answers. Is that what you're saying? Or are you Are you giving me an option? Because if it's an option, I'm going to mark it wrong. Remember, we discussed the single answers. 1.4a, 1.5, you said AC. Right, Koketso, right. You need to ask close-ended questions. That's why A is incorrect. Are you sure that A is wrong?
Grant, Mr.
Yeah.
Koza's hand is up. Mr. Koza, I don't
Koza,
know if you
go
want
ahead.
to answer. Yes.
Can't hear Mr. Koza, eh?
Mr. Koza, if you can just maybe in the chat, write your message.
Okay, while we're waiting for Mr. Koza, Koketso, 1.5a is correct. What has the price of why has the price of computers gone up? Okay, and that would be the incorrect or the correct answer for 1.5 because it's very open-ended. It's going to give you so many answers, so many questions. Actually, you can even pose another question as an answer, and that's going to get us into a lot of trouble. So I don't know. Can I get some thumbs up from you guys? Up to 1.5, have you seen the process that we go through and the strategy that you use by knowing your content? Yes, 1.5D is a complete distractor. How many? Not really. How many years have you been using computers? You could change that question in the pad and give some options, so it's not open-ended. But anyway, yeah, 1.D would be wrong. So just to get back to it, just a quick recap on multiple choice. You need to look at each and every single answer and evaluate which is incorrect based on the question. So just with a quick thumbs up from participants, do you get the process of how we answer the multiple choice? Because I would like to move on to question 2, considering time. Thumbs up from participants. Right. I got 1 thumbs up. Anybody else?
Grant, I'm seeing quite a few thumbs up here. Hey? I don't know if you can see it.
I don't know, maybe something's happening on my screen, but thanks for the feedback, Kimmy. I will then move on to question 2. Let's go back to the presentation. Okay, so those were the answers for 1.1 to 1.5. That's C, A, D, C, and A. So let's move on to question 2. In the chat, what is question 2? Anybody? Match the columns, absolutely. Right. But in the question paper, the actual term used is matching items. But it's matching the column. We have column A, we have column B, and we need to get something going. So how do we answer question 2? It's a bit of a difficult one. And the strategy that I used, or that I always used with my learners also, was read the question, read the instruction. Okay. Also with this one, don't give us multiple options. Don't say L and or M or Z and whatever. You're going to get things marked wrong again. Very similar to question 1, so I'm not going to repeat that one. Then the next thing you need to do with question 2 is keep track of what you have used for answers. So again, we're going to do this one a little bit differently. I'm actually going to give you the answers for the question paper for question 2.1 to 2.10. And then what I want you to do is highlight all the answers. Okay, because I am going to give it to you on the slide. And then we're going to go and look at which answers were not used. And then figure out why those didn't fit. Very different way of doing the question. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. So there are all the answers. So let's just sit with your question paper, sit with the answer on or sit with your question paper, sorry, and then let's highlight all these answers. And like I said, I'm going to give you just 5 minutes to do that. So I'm going to try and go to question 2 on my side. And I'm going to try and highlight all the correct answers. I'm just going to put little circles around them. So it's E. Hope you can see that. O. A. G. C. P. M. S. And D. Okay, and that would be the order from 2.1 to 2.10. Once again, if we have a look at this, I don't know, is it clear enough, colleagues, learners? Okay, got a thumbs up there. Nice. Right, so let's look at the answers that are actually all incorrect or that were not used. B has the word information. If I read through question 1, 2.1 to 2.10, do you notice that information does not fit into any of those descriptions that were given in column A? Absolutely none of them fit. Okay, so by a process of elimination, that is basically how you answer question A. I mean question 2. You need to look at which description best matches the answer. So let's look at G, the word gamer. Which question would gamer be answering? Can we just check in the chats? Which answer would gamer be on? Which question would the answer G being gamer? Which question would it be answering?
At 2.4.
It's going to be answering 2.4. Absolutely correct. Now, if we look through those questions again, and I look at column B, do you notice that in column B, they've highlighted 2 options that look like HTML code? So it's L and P. Which question matches or is asking anything about HTML?
2.6.
Right, 2.6. It says an example of HTML code. So automatically, if I read 2.6 and I see an example of HTML code, I automatically look in column B and I start looking for HTML code. And we'll see that there's L and there's P. How do I then decide which one of those 2 would be the correct answer?
The one for L is about pictures, images.
So exactly. So knowing the HTML code is very important. And as you say, L is referring to a picture, whereas P is referring to what exactly? What does P refer to?
Link.
P refers to a link. And if we go back to the question of 2.6, where it says an example of HTML code used to open a picture in a new browser. The words a new browser would refer to a link. Am I correct by saying that? Learners? Yeah, someone just answered in the chat. They say the code takes you to another window, which is the href code. Absolutely. Can you see we've moved from question 1 to question 2, and we're already answering questions that if you look at section B, and I don't want to delve into section B quite yet, from question 4, all the way to question 8, and we're only by question 2, and we've already covered 60 to 70% of your content through the first 2 questions. Okay, and this is what I want to highlight to you, that section A is really general knowledge on all the content that you've covered from grade 10. Okay. 2.9, an arrangement of employees to work from home using ICTs. What would the answer be for 2.9? Why is it specifically that one? Why is it K? That's the only one I didn't put. Why is it telecommuting and not anything else? Somebody?
Okay, Bala.
Hello? Why would 2.9's answer be K?
You will be able to communicate without the need to actually communicate face to face.
That's one reason. Any other idea? Why wouldn't it be any of the other answers? Why is it only telecommunicating? Is there anything else in that list that looks something similar? Or that could throw you out, throw you off at some point?
Q.
Q, SOHO. Yes, what does SOHO stand for?
Small office, home office.
Okay, so can you see that even in question 2, there are terms, more so in column B, that could still also throw you, throw you out of the off the lane there a little bit. So there are still similar concepts being spoken about or being mentioned in the column B options that could make you not get the correct answers for column A. Okay, I see a hand. Kim, whose hand is that?
Sorry, I wanted to tell you, there's a hand for you.
I see the hand. As soon as I saw it, it disappeared, so I didn't catch the name. Anybody?
But you must just also look in the chats. I see Lenay also answered your question. I don't know if you can have a look at that, perhaps.
Yes, I did. And then
Okay.
that's why I was saying small office, home office, but it is
Okay.
not what was asked. Yes, well done, Lenay. It makes absolute sense. So as long as you know your content, and I know I'm going back to it, and I've mentioned this a few times. As long as you know your content, section A is not going to bully you. And I want to use those words. It's not going to bully you in terms of getting the answers there. So question 2, matching the columns, keep track of which answers you're using so that you don't repeat a letter necessarily, but also make sure that the letter that you are choosing or the description that you're choosing or answer that you're choosing matches the description in column A. It's very important. A lot of people rush through section A and lose a lot of marks that they shouldn't. And remember on the first slide, I had one red bullet at the bottom. Use the mark allocation. We're going to get back to that pretty soon. We're going to move on to question 3 really, really quickly. Okay, let me go back to the presentation because I think I'm done with question 2 now. Okay, what's question 3, ladies and gents?
True or false?
True or false? Very easy. Absolutely. Very easy question to get wrong, funny enough. Okay, and yeah, I'm sure you heard I quite a little bit of a chuckle as well. So what is question 3? As you said, true or false items. How do we answer question 3? Because it's not that you guys don't know the work or you guys don't know how to answer the question per se. It's just the manner in which you answer the question that makes you lose marks. More than content driven. It's just how you answer that's the problem. So let's just move on there. Again, we need to look at the instruction. I'm going to summarize this instruction. It asks you true or false. If it's false, we need to give the correct statement. the little part in the last brackets, do not simply use the word not to change the statement. Okay. Firstly, you are not rewriting the statement at all when you answer this question. That is a mistake that a lot of learners make. They rewrite the question and then they underline the words that they want to be the answer or not be the answer, which is, sorry for that, just really not acceptable. So do not rewrite the answer. What is the strategy to answering question 3? Let's move on to it. It's given to you in the question paper. They normally have a little example like this where it says, if the question is true, you simply write true as the answer. If you decide the question is false, you write false and you give the correct answer. Now, the false or the true, but more so the false, because I want to focus on the false, they'll give you either a single word, or they will give you a term, or they will give you like a phrase out of the entire sentence. That is the only part of the question that you need to fix. You don't need to rewrite it. You don't have to rephrase it at all. You just need to give the correct term. And I think that one's pretty clear. So let's move on to the exercise. Okay, so what we're going to do here is identify only the false questions. So the other questions, I'm going to give you 3 minutes, 4 minutes. I'm going to give you 4 minutes, and then I would like you to identify which questions are false. And I'd like the answers in the chat, but I'll give you 4 minutes before I request the answers. So give you a little time to read and think about it.
Hi. Grant gave everyone just a few minutes to answer the questions, so he'll be answered.
Wat gaan jy aan doen? Ek gaan net konstante joint en nebulizer hê. Wanneer? Dis 18 is.
Hello, I think someone muted me.
Oh my goodness.
Okay,
Okay.
no problem. Okay, and let me repeat. I was just saying, can we just look at question
In the
3?
meeting, because she's the only one that mutes you.
Thank you, Tanya. Let me just re-say or recap what I said again. Question 3.1 to 3.5, we've covered at least 4 different topics within the CAT syllabus. And if we look at from section or question 1 all the way to question 3, the questions have touched on every single section in section B that gets asked individually. Okay, which is bringing me close to the end of what I want to do now, because we've gone through the few activities and stuff. And this is what I want to bring into context for most of the learners and educators. This one is for both learners and educators. The next slide. It's basically a summary of what I've been doing and asking you which approaches to use to get to the answers. Okay, so back to the strategy. Using your mark allocation as an overall guide to judge your performance. Now, when I said that in the beginning, I think some teachers were also like, what is this man on? What is he talking about? Probably even some of the subject advisors like, worry, listen, what are you talking about? Now I'm going to explain it to you. Let's say, for instance, you score a mark of 12 out of 25 for section A. How does this relate to your performance? Quite simply. And I've done a lot of analysis on this, and it really does pull through. Simple calculation, 12 times 4 gives me 48. Anybody, any one of the learners, why do you think I'm multiplying by 4? Even subject advisors, why do you think I'm multiplying by 4? Mohammed, you want to hazard a guess?
Grant, can I guess?
Yes,
Get the
go for it.
percentage.
To get
Yeah.
it to a percentage, as
Yes,
simple as
that's what I
that.
heard. Thank you, Tanya.
The
Okay.
moment I saw Kim wanted to do something, I had to jump in and just make sure that I get it before Kim.
Yeah, no. So learners, absolutely. Thank you, Natasha, to get a mark out of 100. Something interesting about this, when I multiply 12 by 4, if you got 12, I get 48%. Boy, there we go. So that equates to you only knowing 48% of your content in general. Okay. How does that 48% work then? It means that for section B and section C together, you're only going to score 48% of the marks. So there are sections of the work that you really don't know. So not to go into Maggie's presentation too much for section B, what I would then do using this 48% is answer section B, go back, look at question 4, look at question 5, look at question 6, look at question 7, look at question 8, and identify what are the sections that I don't know. So it will help you to then study and focus, get other question papers, and actually go through those questions one by one and try and get more than 48% per question. So how does 48% relate? If a question in section B is out of 10, it means you're only getting 4 marks for it, maybe 5. I don't know, does this sink in a little bit with everybody? Teachers, if you can come in there, thumbs up, thumbs down. Have you picked up on this? Have you noticed this a little bit? Learners, this is most important for you because as you're doing your studying, you should be checking, am I improving? Am I not improving? And the only way is to mark your work, check it with the rubrics, do these little calculations and see, gauge yourself. Am I getting better at this? Am I getting worse at this? How is this working? So just a quick summary before I hand over to section B. You need to remember the following for section A. Question 1, look for the distractor, look for similar answers, and then get your final answer. Question 2, keep track of what you've used for answers. Question 3, decide what is true or false. And if it's false, only concentrate on the underlined words and give the correct word or wording. And finally, do not take longer than 30 minutes to complete section A. So when you're doing your practice work and you're doing your studying, take 3 or 4 question papers if you have them. Teachers distribute the question papers and simply time yourself. Sit with a stopwatch, sit with your phone, put 30-minute timer on, go through section A and see how you keep in track of time. And here's another thing, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, not even Mr. Ali's toes, but I might say something a little bit controversial now. If you cannot answer 100% of the paper, answer 60% of the paper, take 3 hours and get full 60%. That would be my advice to you. And thank you everybody for listening to me. I am done with section A. Kim, back to you.
Thank you, Grant. I just want to find out, Maggie, are you ready to share your screen with everyone?
Kim, I think I'm ready. Let me try and share.
Okay, wonderful. I want to, while Maggie is busy sharing, I want to say thank you for everyone for participating. Please don't stop. It's always good to see the students interacting with us. So please, if you can open your mic, give us a shout to of what you would like to, you know, when the question is asked, and also even in the chat, give us your answers there. It's always nice for us to hear from the students themselves. Are you ready, Max?
Yes, Kim, I'm ready. Can you see
All
the
right.
screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
All right, over to you, Maggie.
Thank you, Kim. Good afternoon, colleagues from the districts. Good afternoon, Mr. Ali. Good afternoon, colleagues from the schools, and good afternoon to you, the learners. I'll be dealing with section B. And before I really get into section B, question 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, I would like to re-emphasize what the previous presenter, Grant, was saying in as far as performance in section A, how it actually determines what you know about section B, because all the questions in section A are related to question 4, 5, 6, 7, as well as question 8. Okay, section B, the strategy. Let's start with the strategy. We know that it has been explained already by Kim at the beginning that for section B, we have 75 marks in total. What is very important here, learners, is time management as well. It is key. Just make sure that you don't go over more than a minute per mark. Understand the action verbs. The action verbs were shown to you by Kim at the beginning when she was showing you the exam guidelines. I can just maybe, let me see if I can quickly get these things. It's on page 45. These are the action verbs. Are we still able to see my screen? Kim?
Hi, sorry. Yes?
Is the screen for the action verbs visible?
Yes, we can see the
Okay.
action verbs. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I just wanted to remind the learners to say these are the action verbs that you were talking about. I'm re-emphasizing it there, that they need to understand the action verbs as they answer section B, the questions in section B. Another important factor, learners, answer in full sentences. I know for section A, we were saying that it's those one-word answers, but then in section B, we want you to answer in full word answers, in full answers, because you lose marks if you give answers like fast or quick or cheap or more expensive. You lose marks in the process because we don't want one word answers in section B. You need to give full sentences. You need to study using the theory terminology booklet. You've been shown that booklet already. The different study guides, you've been shown those study guides, the exam guidelines, as well as the previous question papers. I think this has been re-emphasized as well by Grant when you were saying that make sure that you have 3 to 4 previous question papers that you can refer to as you practice and get ready for your examinations. You should read aloud to yourself if it's necessary for you to stay focused on what you're studying. Write down the notes to try and remember the facts that you are busy studying. When you're studying for theory, learners, make sure that you study and understand the definitions or the descriptions of the particular technologies you are studying there, the purpose and the function, advantages or benefits, disadvantages and limitations, application of in an ICT environment, or in fact, the examples of the technology in real life, examples of the technology in question, as well as troubleshooting. Those are just some of the strategies that you need to apply to yourself as you are busy preparing for your paper 2, section B. In fact, all the sections included. Okay, just a quick look at how section B looks like. What is the structure of section B? The question topics as well as the mark allocation. Your question 4 is your solution development. Now for solution development, which concepts are you studying? The concepts of computing, that will include the hardware, the software, computer management, troubleshooting, as well as accessibility. And your question 4 consists of 25 marks. Your question 5, learners, this is your internet and network technologies, all the technologies which are related to the internet and the network. And this counts for 15 marks. Moving to question 6. Question 6 deals with information management. These will be questions closely related to the PET and information management, and this will give you 10 marks, or it's a question that is set out of 10 marks. And you have question 7. Question 7 is on social implications, and then the kind of concepts that will be tested there will be the impact on society, legal, ethical, and security issues, health and economics, as well as environmental issues. And this question is asked out of 10 marks. Then you have question 8. That would be the last question for your section B, and that deals with solution development. Now, these are the theory questions related to the practical content. Your word processing, Excel, as well as HTML. And I know for the whole of last week, the 5 days, we were dealing with the practical content. So what you have studied, what you have learned last week in as far as practical content is concerned will be asked theoretically now in question 8, known as solution development, and that gives you 15 marks. Now your 75 marks for section B comes from all these questions that I've just included there.
Maggie, now, sorry, I just want to quickly, Natasha brought it under my attention, just asked that I must just show you there by question 4, that it's not solution development, but it's system technologies. There by question 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry, she just asked that I can, if you can, that I must just help you there.
System
technologies.
Technologies, you are right. Yeah.
All right.
I was falling asleep.
No, don't worry. Don't worry.
Okay, let me change it right here, right now.
But you see, we must actually, the teachers were supposed to tell us.
And
tell us there was.
Very fast.
You see, there, Curtis and Kondo. Isn't question 4? Well done, Curtis and Kondo. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thanks. You can go on. Thanks, Maggie.
Okay. what I was trying to say going forward is that we're going to do different questions. I'm going to use the 2021 November question paper and a little bit of 2022 question paper. The thing is, I'm looking at the time now. I don't think we'll have enough time to cover as much content as I wanted us to cover, but it's fine. We'll just deal with the questions that we're able to look at, because at the end of doing each question, I would like us to look at the similarities between the questions asked in 2021 and the questions in 2022 on the different topics. So let me move to my next slide. The sample paper for section B, the November 2021 selected questions that I would like us to look at would be 4.6. I hope that the learners have got their question papers with them there. So just indicate that it will be 4.6, 4.8, 4.10, and 4.11. Those would be the question 4 sub-questions that we'll be looking at. For question 5, it's the ones that you see on the screen there, 5.1, 5.3.1, 5.3.2.3, as well as 5.4, and then question 6, question 7, and question 8. So let's start with question 4. I just want to get out of the presentation mode so that I can be able to see. I'm going to stop sharing, and I would like to give learners an opportunity to answer 4.6. You can type your answers in the chat or raise your hand or give an answer. Health trackers are often worn by athletes and people who are health conscious. Name 2 types of outputs a user would expect to find on his or her health tracker. That would be the first one. Anyone? Someone says the heart rate. Anyone else? We're looking for 2, the types of outputs. So first we need to know what is it that is output. What is the output? So someone said the heart rate. Anyone else? Blood pressure. Yes, I agree. Maybe the last one. Anyone else? Counts the number of steps. Yes, it would also be able to count the number of steps. Now, learners, I just want to quickly show you where you can actually get those kind of answers from. The memo says there's it's a step counter where you exercise, the distance covered during sporting activities, how much sleep you get, the heart rate, calories burnt, oxygen level, history of activities, as well as the blood pressure. And some of you have actually mentioned those as the items that can be the answers there. I just want to go to the examination guidelines and show you. Sure, here, let me just share with you. The new terminologies.
She call me Mr. Bombastic, call me fantastic, put me on me back.
2020 examination. Colleagues, am I still with you? Kim?
Yes, Maggie, you are. I can see the screen. Okay.
You can see the screen.
Yes, I can, Maggie.
Oh, okay, thank you. Wearable devices and wearable technologies. If you go to the new terminologies, the application in an ICT environment, since we are talking about the trackers which can be worn, we are actually talking about the wearables. And an application in an ICT environment, these are the examples that you can see there, and those form part of the answers that have been given in the memo, as I was mentioning. So that would be correct from some of the learners who actually shared that as the answers. Okay, can we move to the next question, 4.8, which says, give 2 reasons why the use of online applications or software has become popular. What are we looking for here? 2 reasons why the use of online applications have become popular in the chats. Anyone?
Maggie, sorry. Are you displaying the question paper? Because I don't know if you are, because we can't see it. Or are you just reading the question?
I'm reading the question 4.8. Remember, I
Okay, so
showed
you're
that
not displaying
slide.
it. No, I just want to make sure you. So you aren't. You're not displaying it because I don't see
No.
anything. Okay,
No, I'm not displaying it.
All right, that's fine.
Yes.
Thanks, Maggie.
Okay. Anyone? I'm just checking the chats. Sure. What's going on? Okay, someone is saying you do not need to download the app as an one of the reasons. Anyone else? Anyone else? Learners? 4.8, give 2 reasons why the use of online applications has become popular. Can access from anywhere where there is internet connections. Internet connection. So we needed only 2 answers there. So that is also correct. And for you as a learner, when you're doing your revision, to be able to search for this kind of information, you could go to the study guide, which I'm going to share with you just now. And this will be on page 58. So this will be your web-based applications. But now what you need to note is that the question here required you to talk about the reasons for using web-based applications. But for you to be able to do that, you first need to know what is the description. What is a web-based application? The simple explanation, and then these are the advantages of using the web-based applications. And if you check your answers from the 2 answers that we got, the learners were spot on, and those would be form part of the answers. But sometimes you could be asked about the disadvantages or the limitations. That's why it's very important to make use of either your study guides or the CAT terminology booklet. Can we move to the next question? The next question which I shared with you was 4.10, which says give 2 reasons for using voice recognition software. 2 reasons for using voice recognition software. Learners? I'll give you a minute. Security purposes, visual impairments to use a computer, navigate a device. That's what someone is also saying there. Anyone else? A person that is blind can be able to use the computer. It enables the hands-free operation of the device.
It improves safety because you can be able to call someone while you're driving.
Yes, that would be safety on the road. Yes. Okay. So I think we can stop with that one. The answers that we've got there are correct, and they actually relate to the use of voice recognition software. But then usually when, as a learner, you get this kind of a question, sometimes you might think that the voice recognition software would be referring only to the blind. I like the idea that you actually came up with the different instances where voice recognition could be used other than for people who are blind. So if you want to explore more of this, you could check for more answers on page 54 of the study guide. Just going to check if I can just quickly show that to you now.
Maggie, while you are displaying the study guide, Kutso's hand is up. Kutso?
Kutso, let's see a Kutso. Kutso? No response from Kutso. Okay, so are we able to see the screen? The voice recognition, also known as speech recognition. If you go to page 54, there is all the information that you need just to familiarize yourself with all this concept. How does it work? The relevance and important on personal lives, and the different examples are given there. So moving between the CAT terminology booklet as well as any one of the study guides, you'd be able to get more information. And that would help you whether you are being asked to describe, depending on the action verb, or if you should give advantages or disadvantages, limitations, or relevance in actual life. I also want to refer you to the 2022 question 4.8.1 and 4.8.2. I'll share it with you just now. Are we able to see it? 4.8.1 and 4.8.2 on your question paper. Anyone? .8.1 says, name one input device specifically designed for disabled users. And 4.8.2 says, name one output device specifically designed for disabled users. Now, I wanted to tie these two questions with question 4.10, which talks about voice recognition. So now, if you look at these two, you can be asked from the same concepts, different questions. That's why it's very important that you look at the study guide or at the terminologies booklet, because it's giving you all of those together. So those two questions, one mark in 2022 November 4.8.1 and another mark 4.8.2 would be related to your 4.10 in 2021. Can we move to 4.11? 2021.
Just hold on. Machidiso Machubane, sorry, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Just asked that you can please repeat. I don't know if it's regarding that question. If you can just quickly in the type, they just said, please repeat. Okay. Just quickly stipulate what question you must repeat, Machidiso.
Matsidiso says that they don't see the screen. Matsidiso, what you can do for me with the 2022 November question paper, if you can go to question 4.8.1 and 4.8.2. Those are the ones that I was referring to, where it's asking you about the input device designed for disabled users. And then the next one says the output device designed for disabled users. I have some answers there. I can see Letabo says input device, it'd be a trackball. And then Lene says 4.8.1 would be a Braille keyboard. That would be the input device. Yes, correct. And then the output devices. Anyone? We need only one. Anyone? An output device designed for disabled users? Anyone? I don't see any response. I'm not able to see any of the responses, Kim. Am I missing
There
something?
is
The
one,
Braille printer.
Your Braille printer.
Braille printer, yes. That
And
would
then
be the
Lene said, when the screen flashes for the deaf people.
yes. When it flashes, yeah, they're able to see it since they cannot hear. Yes, that would be an output device. Thank you, Lene, as well. Yes. Can we now move to the 2021 question that I was referring to? 4.11 November. State 2 possible problems associated with 3D printing. Possible problems associated with 3D printing. I see Ekangala says they smell toxic. Another one is saying printing process is slow, and then also mentions the unhealthy odors. Yes, that is correct. Anyone else would like to try? It is costly. Yes, it's the same, expensive, and then it is costly. And then if you're saying it is costly, can we expatiate on that? They are expensive. Why would we say that they are expensive? Maybe if we're trying to give a full on sentence, as we were talking earlier. It's very costly. It is can only do one function with it, printing 3D objects. That would be the limitation. Yes. So now can you see where the limitation and the disadvantage actually overlap into each other? The material needed to print is expensive. Yes, that would qualify also the issue of it being expensive. It can be expensive to buy. It can be expensive to get the material that you use to print out there. That would be fine. And this information, if you need to get more of what is being said by about the 3D printers, you can go to the examination guidelines. I'll just get the page number for you. That would be on page 7. That's not the examination guideline. In fact, the new terminologies content. That would be the one. And it says there on page 7. Let me just quickly get to page 7 for you. Your 3D printing or 3D printers, the definition, read all that. What's the purpose of this? What are the advantages and what are the disadvantages? What are the limitations? One of you mentioned one of the items, which was a limitation, application in ICT environment, and you can actually even watch the YouTube video to see how this works, how it looks like, the advantages and everything there. So make sure that you also check on that as well. Okay, that would be your question 4.
Maggie,
Can we
sorry
quickly
to
move?
disturb you.
Okay.
Kutso, your hand is up. Do you want to ask a question? Kutso, if you can't use your mic, you're more than welcome to type the question in the chats. Sorry, Maggie, you may proceed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, question 5. Let's quickly do 1 or 2 questions in question 5. I can see the time is really moving fast, and Kim, you still have to do question 9 and 10. Question 5, give 2 advantages of great computing. That would be 5.1. Two advantages of great computing. Let's see what we have in the chats. Someone says it's cost effective. Anyone else? Anyone else? The problem gets solved faster as more than one person is working on the problem at the same time. Yes. And then the one of cost effective, can we elaborate on that? Why would we say it is cost effective? Maybe you'd like to add some more flesh to that. Anyone else? Computers are updated at once. Yes, I like that. The use of idle resources. Yes, so that would link up with why we're saying that it is cost effective. Okay, but now if you check question 5.9 in the 2022 energy effective, yes, that is correct. The 5.9 of the 2022 November links up nicely with the 5.1 of 2021. The question is asked differently. In 5.9, sorry, of 2022, it says, name the system that a research company can use to address the need for more computer processing power without having to buy new hardware. Can you see now, if you look at 5.9 of 2022, the explanation of what grid computing is given, you need to give the one-word answer of saying what that technology is, grid computing. So these questions are linked up together, but the way the question is asked in the 1 year is different from how it's asked in the next year, but the content that we're looking for is actually exactly the same. So that's why it's very important as you read through or as you study, going through the advantages, the definitions and everything, using your study guides as well as the new terminologies content. So I won't go into the 2022 deep like that. We'll go to 5.3.1 in your 2021 November. 5.3.1 says there's a diagram. Study the diagram below and answer the questions that follow. I'm not sure if you are there yet. 5.3 says study the diagram below and answer the questions that follow. And for the questions that follow, we have 5.3.1, 0.2, as well as 0.3. Name the technology that is represented by the diagram, 1 mark. What do the arrows in the diagram represent? 1 mark. State one concern that could arise around the technology in the diagram above. 1 mark. Let's see. What are you saying about 5.3.1? What is this technology? Someone is saying IoT. Yes, IoT, Internet of Things. That would be for 5.3.1. The picture is a depiction of IoT. What do the arrows in the diagram represent? Anyone? If you look at each and every one of those items, there's a double-sided arrow between the item and what's in the middle. Someone says communication, someone says data flow. Data flow, yes, or communication, yes, between what? Sharing of data between what and what? There are 2 items that I need there to complete your answer. No,
Maggie, there's a question. Why is 5.3.1 not convergence? If you can just maybe answer that question.
So it's not convergence. What is convergence? If I should throw it back to this learner, Puseletso, what is convergence? Let's differentiate there. let's get first what is convergence, because it is definitely IoT, but then what is it that makes it different from convergence? What is it when you're saying this technology that we see here is convergence? This item, this particular device is able to do what and what and what and what to say that it's convergence. Integrating all technologies into one, yes. But now, if you look at this picture, in the middle of all those little pictures around, there's a cloud. Can you see that, Puseleto? Can you see the cloud in the middle? And then Danielle is saying, this is between the device and the cloud. Yes. This is between the device, the sharing of data or the communication between the cloud as well as the device. Are we clear with that one now? Yes, Pusele, so now you can see that. You can see what is happening there. Thank you. Okay, it's control and command. Correct answer, no, that wouldn't be. Between the device and the cloud, the communication between the cloud and the device. Ekangala, can you see that now? Are you fine with that? Okay. And 5.3.3, I'm not sure, is there anyone who has answered this yet? One concern that could arise around this technology. What would be the concern there around this technology? Anyone? Security loss? Yes, I agree. Loss of security there. Anyone else? Don't you think it could be hacked? Yes, that would relate very closely with the security loss. From Letabo says it could be hacked. Anyone else? One other concern regarding IoT. Cloud services, if we're saying cloud services could be a problem, it could be a problem in which way? Isn't it that we need to rely a lot on connectivity? Are we having clear connectivity at all times in our country right now? So connectivity would definitely be a problem. IoT technology is dependent on reliable connectivity. Yes, I agree. So that would be a limitation to the use of IoT, or that would be a concern regarding the use of IoT. Now, this question 5.3.1 to 5.3.3 on IoT relates directly with the 2022 question 5.8. If you have your 2022 question paper, 5.8 says give 2 uses of IoT in a home environment. So we're still on IoT, but the question is now asked differently. We need to give 2 uses of IoT. Anyone? Yes, Letabo says the humans will be dependent on technology, too much dependent on technology, which can fail us at times. Yes, that would still be for 5.3.2. I'm now on 5.8 of 2022 November. 2 uses in a home environment of IoT. Anyone? In a home environment? To operate sprinklers. What else can you use it for in a home environment? I just want to go to your new terminologies so that I can show you where your Internet of Things, page 13. Anyone else? It unlocks doors, the smart doorbell. The last one, heating and cooling your home. Okay, your Internet of Things, there are your advantages. Firstly, if you can look at that first picture, learners, those of you who are still in doubt about whether the picture was a representative of Internet of Things, there's an example there, the purpose and the function, advantages as well as disadvantages. So you were busy, you can't see the screen.
No, Maggie, we can't see anything on the screen. I don't know if you're sharing anything with us.
Yeah, I was trying to show the new terminologies. Can you see it now?
Yes, now we can see it.
Okay, yes. So that's what I was talking about. Unfortunately, I was lost there. So the advantages from what the learners were saying just now, and then your disadvantages. And now remember, for the first part you were asked about, in the 2021, it was mainly on seeing, being able to depict from the picture what you see. And from there, you were also asked about the errors between the cloud as well as the other items. And then now in the next year, you are asked about the advantages or the uses in a home, right? Okay, can we move to question 6? I'm going to skip some of these questions here. We don't really have enough time. Give possible negative effects of society as a result of research based on fake news, 6.2 of 2021. We'll just fly through now. The 2021 November. As your question 6 question, we'll do just one question. Question 7, we'll do one question, and question 8, one question. Learners in the chats, give 2 possible negative effects on society as a result of research based on fake news. Remember, question 6 is your information management. And if you are going to base your research on fake news, what are the possible negative effects? The possible negative effects: misunderstanding on important social issues may lead to wrong decision making because you are getting fake news. Yes, I would agree to that. We need only 2, I think. Yes. The second one, anyone from any school? Anyone else? Wasted resources as it is based on false information. Yes, resources will be wasted as a result of the false information. I would agree to that as well. And that would give you 2 marks. And if you check your study guide, I'm not going to go into the study guide anymore now. You can just jot this down on page 162 of the study guide. I showed you the 2018 edition. You will find the full information on fake news. So you can, in your own spare time as you are busy revising, go through that. And question 7, I'm also going to take only one question. 7.1, November 2021. Give the term for a type of malware designed to encrypt or block access to your computer system and files until you pay a sum of money. Lene says ransomware. Yes, yes. I agree that would be ransomware, and that will be only 1 mark for that. Sometimes you'll be given the term ransomware and be expected to define it. And if you go into your study guide, you'll find all that information, the advantages and everything. All right, let's take one last question from question 8. Which one should I take out of these ones? From November 2021. 8.3. 8.3. How would you insert all the text from another long document into an existing word processing document without using the copy and paste method? (8.3) from the 2021 November. The question would be, how would you insert all the text from another long document? This would be your knowledge of word processing into an existing word processing document without using copy and paste. Insert text from file, select object, and then text from file. Yes, that is just that one answer like that. Insert the text from the file. So you go to your insert in your, what's this bar at the top? Learners, help me. And then you go to your objects and then you select the object and then you paste the, I mean, you include the information or the text like that without copy and paste. And that would give you the last 1 mark for question 8. So that would bring us, I think, to the end. I think I've tried to also cover the sample paper section B examples of similar questions together with the questions as I was moving along because of time constraints. And yeah, I think that's how far I would go with section B, Kim.
Thank you. Thank you, Maggie. Sure. Guys, I hope that was very fruitful for section B. Thank you. Thank you so much, Maggie. Okay, I'm going to, Maggie, if you can please, stop sharing, then I can quickly do my section C. Before I start with my section C, I just want to ask Grant. Grant has got advice for the students. Grant, if you are still listening, please can you quickly tell the students that you told me over the phone?
Okay, hi Kim, hi everybody once again. Just a little advice also for section C after having a very in-depth section B with Maggie. Remember for section C, we will be dealing with scenario-based questions. So some questions will also seem very similar to what was being asked in section B. Like for instance, I know the students in D14 always hear this one from me, but I'll use the printer question, which they're like sometimes asking question 4 as an example. So in question 4, section B, it will ask you a simple question like list or give 3 reasons why a printer will not print. And there's multiple answers there's about a list of 20 different answers that you can give. However, in section C, they might say there's a user, there's a small office, everything's connected, it's not printing. And they say there's paper, there's electricity, it's connected on the network, the driver's installed. Why is it not printing? So what section C then does is all the answers that you used in section B, you can no longer answer or use in section C, question 9 and 10. So referring back to the CAT booklet, if they've given you 3, 4, and 5 advantages or more on a specific topic or a specific device, learn 3 of them, learn 4 of them. Because if you use 2 in section B, you cannot use the same answers in section C. That's the advice there, Kimmy.
Thank you so much, Grant. All right. Now, ladies and gents, boys and girls, I hope you're still here and I hope you are actually still awake. If not,
Kim, can I come in, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry to disturb, Kim. I know it's 4:30 now. I just want to know from the teachers, is it okay that we continue till 5 o'clock? Can we get some form of indication? Because we've gone now to 4:30. And if we can get some indication from the teachers, is it okay that we continue? And Kim, you'll have to do a shortened presentation for question 9 and 10.
Yes,
So
sir.
in these 16, I already received messages that the learners have to leave now as the last buses are leaving just after 4 o'clock. So unfortunately, a lot of my teachers already had to leave and will leave in the next 2 minutes.
Okay, because obviously there's some important information from question 9 and 10. Is there a possibility that we can complete question 9 and 10 on Monday or Tuesday? Subject advisors? Or should we continue till 5?
Well, so
If the
So I know
teachers
the
can give
exam
me an
starts on
indication.
Monday. Exam starts in our district on Monday.
yeah, well, so what I can do is we are recording, so I can just go on with the presentation. If the people have to leave, we are
Okay.
going to share the videos. If that will maybe assist, but then if they have
Okay.
to leave, then it's fine.
Okay. So I think teachers, I don't know, there's a hand from Hanali. Okay, so I think, Kim, we've got some thumbs up. Teachers, I think if, like Tanya indicated, if learners need to leave due to transport or whatever other reason, I think you should allow your learners to leave. If you can stay on, if you can stay on, you can stay on. We don't want a situation where learners miss their transport and it becomes late. You know, it is winter. By 5:30, it's getting dark. So I think Kim will continue, Kim, as you indicated. And then if a school needs to leave, then we will have the recording. And thank you to Grant and Maggie for the wonderful presentation. So Kim, I think we'll leave it open to the schools to decide.
Yes.
If they want to stay on, they stay on. I think it was very, very beneficial. What came out very clearly is the study guide, the exam guidelines, and the content booklet. You'll see there were many questions, even by Maggie, highlighting things from the study guide. Maybe Kim will ask 1 or 2 of the learners if they ever seen that study guide, because it looks like some of these learners haven't seen the study guide. They're hearing it for the first time. So I think, Kim, without further wasting the time, because time is
Yes.
moving, if we
Yes,
can
sir.
see, Kim, if we can move it, maybe not ask too many questions, and we can continue till about 5 o'clock. Thank you. Over to you, Kim.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, so I am going to just quickly go through regarding the integrated scenarios and so forth. Right. Ladies and gents, as I was stipulating, question 9 and 10 is actually your easiest questions. So this is a scenario. Now, I had an intervention in my schools in March, and I always said to my kids, question 9 and 10 is like problem solving. You guys like solving each other's love life problems and girlfriend and boyfriend problems. So then you can sort out this problem, because that is actually what question 9 and 10 is. It's a scenario that we're giving you. We're giving you a problem and we're saying, help us. Help us to solve it by giving lists, suggestions, discussions, and so forth. So I'm just going to go through the questions with you guys so that you can just see and think about this integrated scenarios. Now, question 9 and 10 is 25 marks each in total, okay? And we try and give you a real life scenario, which covers basically all the topics that you were taught on, and we're assessing you on that topics. Okay, so you will see it based on concepts of computing, hardware and software stuff, the managing of computers, troubleshooting, system technology, networks, VR, AR, IA, and IoT, you know, and new technologies. So it's always good to keep up to date with the latest technology. Now, if you are teenagers like my own child that says, oh, but mommy, I know how computer works, but if I ask you questions and I ask you about, you know, the systems, that software, the hardware that needs required, and you can't answer me, then you don't know a computer. I know that children know very well about not laptops, but apps and cell phones and so forth. If you know that, it doesn't mean that you know that per se. Right, so I've just showed you the scenario-based questions. And then I'm going to tell you, and this is where we give you the scenarios. Read the scenarios, ladies and gents, you know, so that you can get an understanding and a background, what we are asking you to do, and to understand and to plan. Okay. And then while you're giving the scenario, we sometimes give you diagrams to be examined. And this is, and I'm going to bring English in a little bit. You know, in English, you do visual literacy, where you have to look at the advert. So look at the screenshot that we provide you. Look at the diagram, examine it, see. Okay, so for example, this is from Word, that is from Excel, and that is just a message that you receive on your computer. So read it to understand the diagrams, and then the questions that we provide to you, if you look at it, is based on these diagrams. So we don't try to ask you a question to make it difficult for you not to answer. So if I can give you a word of advice, do question 1, 2, and 3, like Grant went through it with you. It's very easy if you understand, you know, it's recap work. And then 9 and 10, because it's scenarios where you have to recap and solve problems. Okay, now we strategize. So we told you, listen, this is question 9, this is question 10, and now we're going to strategize on how to do the question. So like I stipulated to you earlier on, it's 50 marks in total, and I always tell my kids, steal a minute. So it's 1 mark equals 1 minute. So plan your time effectively and accurately. So I know you're not allowed to have a smartwatch, but if you can have a normal little watch on your table just to see, and then you time yourself. So if you start at 9 o'clock, then at 25 past 9, you should be done with question, let's say question 9, and then and so forth and so forth. Okay. Now, I'm not going to show it and recap on it again, but the action verbs that can be found in the examination guidelines. You need to ask your educators for the examination guidelines to recap on the action verbs, because if you understand the action verbs, then you know what we are requiring you to do during a question paper. Okay. Like Mr. Ali, Grant, and Maggie stipulated, the theory concept book, the Saibono. I'm going to give you keywords. It's blue, the front cover, and it's a Saibono book. Please use that for the theory. The Matthew Kanui book is the practical study guide. And then the cat. The cat, the front cover that has the cat on, that as well, because therein it gives you the definitions, the advantages, the disadvantages, the limitations, and so forth. So please, ladies and gents, try and get hold of these books. like Mr. Ali said, if you can, just give me an indication in the chat if you have access to the book, whether it's soft copy, hard copy, or on a Google Drive. I know some educators, they share it via Google Drive. Just a yes or a no, so that we can follow up with the educators to make sure that you receive these guides. Because like Tanya de Toy stipulated, exams are starting on Monday. And Monday is D-Day, you know, it's already too late. So let's jump in, let's get it in your hands, whether it's soft copy, hard copy, to make you get those marks that you deserve. Now, with the action verbs, ladies and gents, thank you, Latabu. Please, if there's more students, please give us an indication. Do you have the book? Don't you have the books? Let's try and help you get these books to study. Okay. With the action verbs, ladies and gents, these words help you to differentiate the different cognitive levels. Now, remember, like we said, there's levels. You get higher level questions, you get mid question, and you get lower level questions. Okay. And there I want you just to look. This is a sample from the 2022 paper, paper 2. Now, these are concepts. Just have a look at it. These are concepts that were asked in the 2022 paper 2 that the children should have known when we assess them for question 9 and 10. And look at it. I mean, archiving, compressing, farming, fishing, you know, those are things that we ask the students to recap, answer, give us advantages, give us disadvantages. And you'll see now in the next question, this is the tracking of the sub question. And I want to show you, this is the percentage-wise, how the students answered. Now, if you have the 2022 paper, you can see how poorly or how great the children answers question. But these ones in yellow, it clearly stipulates the kids didn't answer it very well. So have a look, go through those question papers like Grant, myself, Maggie, Mr. Ali said, go through past papers. Ladies and gents, I hope you are either listening to the video or you are still listening as we are live streaming now. There's a pattern. There is a pattern, and I'm going to say it now. If you go through at least 10 question papers, whether it's prelim, supplementaries, finals, rewrites, and so forth, you will see that there's a pattern in the questions. They might ask it differently, but like IoT or SOHO, those type of things, you will see there's a repetition of it every question paper, and it's asked maybe in a different way, but you will see that there is a pattern and there's a repetition of the questions. Okay. Right. Then let's quickly, I see there's a hand. If you want to quickly ask before I go on to the next slide, you're more than welcome to. If you can't use your mic, please use the chat. I am monitoring the chats as we speak. Okay, I'm going to go on for time purposes, time management purposes. Okay, so question 9 and question 10. Ladies and gents, these are the things that last year's candidates, the errors that they made. So try not to repeat these errors. So for example, if we ask them a 2-mark questions, the learners normally lose 1 mark because they're not giving proper detail. So for example, I always tell my children, when you ask them what are they going to wear, you know, then they can tell you in detail that what top they're going to wear, what pants, what underwear, what socks, what shoes, what accessories, and in detail they can describe to you, to us as adults, what they are going to wear when they're going out for an event. Now, that same concept needs to be applied when answering a question. So if I ask you a question, I want detail, just as much detail as you put in describing what you're going to wear and planning what you're going to wear. That same concept you need to apply when answering a question paper for theory. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to, like I said, go too much into detail. This is basically about solution development. Questions will appear in this question. There's a variation of question that focuses on the system technologies regarding hardware, software, networks, and internet. And like I said in the beginning of the presentation, ladies and gents, this is when we assess, when National assesses you for prelim and final, it's based on grade 10 to 12 work, not just grade 12 work. I'm going to repeat this because the problem is you as grade 12 student only study the grade 12 work. We as National, and I'm now talking as National now, but National assesses you on content that was taught to you from grade 10 to grade 12. Hence the reason why in the beginning of the presentation, those study guides, the relab books, and the terminology book that I showed you, the content that was taught to 10 to 12 is in those study guides. Okay, so please, ladies and gents, please, please, please get hold of it. I only see 3 people that told me that they have access to the books, and I see there are 58 participants. So please, ladies and gents, give us an indication. Do you have it? Don't you have it? Please, let's try and assist you to get it. Okay, then the CAPS exam paper questions, right, is integrated scenarios. So you must practice previous papers like I told you. Okay, I see there's a one that says, no, we don't have access to the books. If you can please indicate the school so that we can help you get access to the books. Thank you. Okay. I'm just going to show you a few questions here, ladies and gents, and the memo so that you can see what type of answers we want. Okay, what type of answers we want when you answer these questions. So for example, by question 9.1.1, you had to name changes to ensure accurate input. Now, there you can see a combo box. Remember, I just want to quickly go back. Remember 9.1.1 was the 2 changes that you can make to electronical form below to ensure that the data capturing is more accurate. So it's that screenshot. Okay, so they're asking there to give 2 changes to ensure that it is an accurate input. Now, again, it's a practical question that we answer theoretically. And there they give you options. That is why you have to go through the practical study guide, which has got the Matthew Gunui symbol on it or logo on it, and the theory study guide that's got the Cybono logo on it, and the cat terminology book that's got the little cat logo on it. Okay. Yes, I'm not going to go too much into detail, ladies and gents. I'm just going to show you the slides so that you can see. So they ask 2 reasons why a laptop is not suitable as a dedicated digital reader. So here's a few reasons. There's a few reasons that you can answer the question. Sorry, I'm trying to read the question of the comments here. Ladies and gents, facilitators, I don't know if I'm maybe speaking out of line here, but maybe if the students can give us their email addresses and then we can email them the study guides. Yeah, thanks, Grant. Thanks for helping there. Okay, so I'm just quickly going to go on here, ladies and gents. So there we have a few answers. Please go through past papers, download it from the DBE and the GDE websites and go through it. Like I said, you are entitled to this to go through past papers. And like I said, you don't need to print it, ladies and gents. If you have soft copies, you can work from your phone, and then you can do the questions on a paper. So the question paper you can have on your phone, but the answers you can write in the back of your book, and you can say revision November 2019 supplementary or something like that. Okay. Now I want to quickly just show you question 10, how last year's candidates answered the questions. Okay, so there's an indication of the questions and how the students answered it. So if blue, very well, in yellow, not so well. So the students had to, you as a student can see where did they lack the knowledge of that you can improve for yourself and your results. Okay, so many concepts were not well answered, like I stipulated just now. So you need to see, like I said, CAT concept book, past papers, study guide, examinations. All of these things are found, explained, and given detail. When I say detail, the advantages, disadvantages, limitations, practical examples, all of these things are explained in these booklets that you need to get hold of, please. Okay. Another thing that we also encountered when we marked question 9 and 10 is the students don't read the questions properly. So they read it halfway and they're like, okay, yes, I know what to do. And they don't read it to the end of the question. So then you miss those little details. And that's where the problem lies. Read to the end of the question. If you have to, my own children always say, read it 3 times, think about it twice, write it once. So I'm going to repeat. It's a little rhyme that I tell them. Read it 3 times, think about it twice, and answer it. Write the answer once. 3, 2, 1. Okay. And also this question 10, is about solution development. Again, it's about hardware, software, networks, internet technologies, and so forth. And again, ladies and gents, I'm going to repeat it. The work that we assess you on is covered from grade 10 to 12. Okay. Now, again, there's the questions, there's examples of questions. I'm not going to go too much into detail of it. I'm going to, oh, yes, before I forget, we're going to share the PowerPoints with you. We're going to share the recordings with you. So please make sure that you get it from your educator, because we as facilitators are going to share it with the educators. So nag them. Guys, nag them, ask them, go crazy. You know, like it's like a baby wanting a sweetie. No, nag, ask until you get it. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going, like I said, and there it's also 25 marks. Now, how do we prepare? And then we are close to the end. How do we prepare? So you need to go through the exam guidelines that I've repeated now, I think 7 times. If you don't remember or know it by now, exam guidelines, resource books, exam guidelines, resource books. Okay. In general, you have to don't write one-word answers. That's also the problem. Guys, you need to give us proper answers. Remember the scenario that I gave you just now? If I have to ask you what you're going to wear when you go out and you give me the detail, think of it in that way when you answer a question. Give us detail. Now, in my district, I tell them meat to the bone. You know, when you eat KFC, chicken licken, you want lekker meat on the bone. So try and give us meat, lekker answers to the question, meat to the bone. Okay. We also tell you there's a lot of video clips. Mr. Long, I don't know if you know it. I'm going to say it. Mr. Long, Long. YouTube is your friend. I always tell my children, YouTube is your friend. If you don't know YouTube, learn to love YouTube when you have to ask something about SSD card, Soho. There are so many things. The wonderful thing, ladies and gents, is you must know that the core or the advantage about CAT and IT is our content that we teach you, you can go and get other different ways of being explained on YouTube, where in other subjects, it's not that much. You don't have that much access to resources as you have in CAT. So please ask your teachers, or if you can go to a library, public school library, and Google. Now is the time to strategize and go less on TikTok, less on Facebook, less on Twitter, and so forth. And YouTube Mr. Long, YouTube Claire, YouTube work, cat-related content. Okay. You can hear I'm getting very passionate. So, ladies and gents, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for sticking with us until 5 to 5 on a Friday. Well done. I'm really proud of you guys. I see there are 43 participants. Mr. Ali, I am done. I don't know if you perhaps would like to say something. While Mr. Ali is maybe going to say the finishing farewells, please remember to sign and complete the attendance register. Thank you, Mr. Ali.
Thank you, Kim. I think it was a wonderful presentation. All three presentations were excellent. It's just that we had to rush through it. Maybe for our prelim, we'll allocate 3 days for theory so that we can do justice to the theory. And as you can see, teachers and learners, reference was made to the study guide, reference was made to the content book, reference was made to past papers. So it's imperative that the learners and the teachers go through that. I'm sure that you've gained a lot of knowledge today, and thank you very much for attending. Make sure that you complete the registers. Kim, you'll download the Teams register as well, so that those that left early can be checked on the Teams register. If there's no other questions, we can close the meeting. Thank you very much. Is there any questions?
No, I don't think so, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I think that the learners and teachers are tired. It's a Friday afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Have a
we'll
lovely
post the
weekend.
recordings to the teachers via your subject advisors. So thank you very much and have a good weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers, everybody. Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Maggie.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
Grant.
Bye-bye.